When it comes to Helldivers 2, to say this game isn't one of the best examples of a good live service game out there, a dev team that listens to its community even when they feel like they're in the right, implements and evolves on the gameplay so you aren't getting too bored on the repetition. And while we do have stumbles like previous nerfs or poor implementation like the DSS, overall I have faith in this game will continue to chug along and make strides in the right direction. However, I feel like this game is still missing something core to the experience to drive players to log on besides events like DSS or the Illuminate coming back, more like an overall story or characters specifically. Because there is a story in the game told to us through events that you can see through MOs or just player ran events, kind of like Malevelon Creek that just happened on a whim. I really do feel like this is a war, supposedly. In the universe, this is a galactic war, and I think what's really missing is adding characters to it. It's something that may be a little bit more of a deviation, but also an evolution on a brigade mechanic. Something where basically you have officers. I mean, when we look at other major wars, even in real life, in universes and everything, you have factions that are basically commanded by generals, politicians, lieutenants, captains, all of that. I think it'd be super cool if we saw bot generals or commissars, even though the standard troopers are called commissars, so you can call them oligarchs if we want, or something cool, techno, communistic a little bit, and have that also affect the game. When we look at brigades are basically a special type of situation on a planet where the entire army of that faction is more tailored towards a specific type of gameplay. So when we first saw it in the Jet Brigade mechanic, we saw that now all the commissars are now just jetpack commissars. Everyone has a jetpack, and obviously through leaks, take it with a huge grain of salt, we're seeing that other units such as Hulks and possibly even Devastators will have jetpacks, meaning that the Jet Brigade can even expand past just commissars. I think that we can do something a little bit more interesting, where if, let's say, there's General Bolt, all right? General Bolt is a rugged survivor of the Malevelon Creek failure advance and has risen through the ranks in the automatons, and he thinks that instead of standing your ground, he applies a huge aggression buff and super awareness buff to all the enemies in the surrounding planets of his home planet. So if his planet is surrounded by like 2 or 3 planets, then that means those 2 or 3 planets that he's surrounded by have extra, enemy resistance. Not only will they have extra enemy resistance, but they will also have specific stats that he will provide specifically to them. Like I said, it could be whatever. I'm not the super game dev. I can come up with like everything, but this is just like they give like little passives to the army. You can kind of think of it if you've ever played Star Wars at War, or Empire at War. It was a really old RTS, but basically you would have generals within your army, and while the generals could also be units, if you had the more like Navy fleet battles that happened in space, they weren't really most of the time a unit, but a modifier that buffed your army. So you can have that also play an effect into this game. So maybe a little bit more easier way to understand what I'm talking about is if we looked at bugs. Maybe there is a brood commander mother or like hive queen who is now producing a gene seed where this specific bugs in this sector all have the ability to leap like hunters. So that means that you won't just be seeing hunters leap at you, but worker bugs will leap at you. Chargers can leap at you. Maybe not Bio Titans, even though I think it'd be funny and cool to see Bio Titans leap at you. But that is something now that has evolved to allow other things to happen. Or now more bugs have the ability to have spores on them, allowing them to spread further. Or in these certain places, they have heightened aggression or whatever. These are passive buffs. And then what turns into these major orders is that we're no longer just liberating planets to liberate planets, because to be on the side, while we do have interesting things where I've seen a huge evolution of the story where we've gone from just liberating planets and defending to building infrastructure for our faction building space stations, building buffs for ourselves. I would like to see that same effort built towards the bots. They have generals of their own, where we need to go kill them so that it hurts their infrastructure just like how they hurt our infrastructure. Maybe a brood commander on the bug side is making it to where planets in this sector are much more aggressive in their attacking on planets, so that means we have to deal with way more bug invasions than normal. Or a bot commander can make it to where now commissars have shields just like devastators. Simple stuff like that add character and a little bit more flavor to faction is something that I feel would be really cool, and we can have awesome stories about how we as a faction are looking for generals to make sure that we can kill them so that it ends basically a whole threat to that said faction. Just think World War II. I mean, a lot of World War II was just the Allies trying to find generals and high-ranking officers to either execute or imprison them to deal devastating damage to the Nazis. So it would be super cool to see that same level of strategic real war asset or real war like game like because a war's not a game like real war strategy applied to this game kind of in a way that it can help bison up tactic war. And that's kind of what I think would be really cool. Maybe I'm just wrong and you guys think I'm crazy. Maybe you can tell me down below on how maybe you would try to add to the story besides just having MOs, because it would be interesting to see maybe a bit more tailored to specific side stuff. Because it does feel like as if you're not doing the major MO, there really is no side story. And these characters don't maybe have to be part of the main story. But I said my piece, I think. I want to hear what you guys have to say down below. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below. Once again, thank you to all the channel members and Patreon supporters who are continually bankrolling this channel and making it a possibility for me. Thank you every day. Thank you to all the people who leave likes and watch the content. And thank you for commenting all the time. I appreciate it. Safe, have fun. Catch you next time.